In the far reaches of Kruger National Park, South Africa, wandered an aging male lion whose mighty days were long behind him. Once the undisputed leader of a formidable pride, he had guided his brethren through countless hunts and held the golden Savannah in his grasp. Now, he moved slowly across the dry grasses, each step more labored than the last. Time had not been kind. His majestic mane, once thick and regal, had become sparse, tangled, and dulled by age. Deep hollows under his eyes gave him a weary, haunted visage. Most of his teeth had fallen out. Only a few jagged stumps remained. His ribs jutted painfully beneath rough, ulcerating skin. The glaring sun beat down on him, and his gait, once powerful, had degraded to a shuffling hobble in the parched landscape. Ousted from the pride by younger, more robust lions, he now persisted alone. No companionship, no triumphs, only endless days of hunger and thirst. Weak roars echoed over the veld, but no echo answered back. He scavenged for shallow pools, scavenged in vain for prey, but his broken jaws could no longer pierce flesh. The scars crisscrossing his body were grim reminders of battles won, but those scars now narrated his fall, the harsh truth of nature's unrelenting way. Park visitors sometimes spotted his gaunt silhouette, a ghost of his former glory. A few photographs made their way to the ranger station, and soon two dedicated wardens, Nomvula and Thabo, decided to investigate. Armed with medical kits, a tranquilizer rifle, and fresh meat, they embarked on the arduous search. Kruger's vast expanse meant it took days of tracking footprints and analyzing faint spoor. Nomvula studied every paw print in the dusty sand while Thabo scanned the horizon through binoculars. Finally, under the sparse shade of acacia trees, they spotted the old lion, collapsed, panting, his head bowed in exhaustion. They halted 50 meters away. Nomvula readied the sedation rifle, remembering the unpredictable nature of a cornered lion. But Thabo shook his head. This creature was far too weakened for aggression. "Let's try to earn his trust," he suggested calmly. They advanced carefully, speaking softly so as not to scare the animal. Thabo carried a chunk of raw meat, its deep red color stark against the parched earth. The lion lifted his head, eyes weary, but the scent stirred something primal. With a final effort, he crouched, seized the meat, and chewed, slowly, until it was gone. Nomvula injected a restorative dose of fluids and vitamins while the lion ate. He paused only once, looking at them with a glimmer of gratitude in his sunken eyes. After a few much-needed sips of water, they placed a reinforced transport crate a short distance away. Normally, they might have sedated him further to load him, but decided to trust his dwindling instincts. Thabo coaxed him forward with the remaining meat. Trembling, he stood and, step by step, edged into the crate. A soft nudge and a stroke on his mane seemed to reassure him. Once he settled inside, Nomvula quietly closed and locked the door. A fragile silence descended over the men as they loaded the crate onto a vehicle. Nomvula secured a shade cloth overhead, and they moved slowly, careful of every bump. Onlookers watched in respectful curiosity as the weathered form of this former king was conveyed to the park's rehabilitation center, two human saviors guarding his passage. Back at the facility, a veterinarian team awaited them with straw-lined quarters. The lion was gently lifted from the crate, thoroughly inspected, and found to be severely emaciated, infested with skin lesions, and with only a handful of serviceable teeth. A course of antibiotics, pain relief, and wound care began immediately. Nomvula and Thabo fell silent as they observed the procedures, witnessing both the fragility and the resilience of this majestic creature. His new life began quietly. Each morning, staff would dress his wounds, administer meds, and refill his water source. At midday, he would be fed tender minced meat, softened to accommodate his damaged jaw. Gone were the days of survival on his own. Now he had food and protection. Over the weeks, weight returned, his coat regained some luster, and a gentleness replaced his skeletal figure. But the wild was no longer his to reclaim. Nomvula often sat outside his enclosure, speaking softly as if to reaffirm the bond of trust. Thabo ensured his diet was balanced, supplementing vitamins and nutrients. Sometimes the lion would gently press his head against the enclosure bars to receive a soft stroke, a fragile echo of acknowledgement. He would gaze beyond the fences toward the wide fields where he once reigned, a silent memory of past dominion and pride. He could never return to lead a pride again. His era had passed, replaced by younger kings in a world that demanded strength. But in his final days, this old monarch of Kruger found solace in dignity. Human compassion offered him a sanctuary, an unspoken affirmation of life's worth, even when survival is fleeting. Nomvula and Thabo remained by his side until his last breath, holding vigil in quiet regard for a noble being brought low by time, yet honored exactly for who he was. The lion died in peace, his legacy honored by those who would carry his story forward, an enduring testament to the bond between humanity and the wild.